Alright, what's up YouTube? Real quick, this is actually my first video that I'm uploading, so don't be too critical. Anyway, just want to do a quick video on the valve assembly for the 9540s, 8540s, 9960s and such. Kind of had an issue with my PTO continuing to spin even though it was disengaged at low RPMs. Kind of searched high and low, pretty much found a couple of recommendations on what a fix would be. But, in short, it was checking this valve assembly, and, worst case scenario was actually separating the tractor there and getting more into the case. But anyway, what I found with this was pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go really into the disassembly of this. You guys can pretty much figure it out if you're actually tackling this job. You must have some sort of mechanical skills, because it's just 3 bolts right here. You see these 3 bolts that you take off your oil feed line from this one, and then disconnect the actual cable linkage. And then it's kind of difficult to get out. You really got to get a couple pry bars and stuff behind it and kind of rock it back and forth, and eventually it'll work its way out. It does have a rubber gasket right here that kind of bites a little bit on the inside. So, but just work at it, be very careful, and you should be able to get it out of there. What I did notice, and I'll get to it right now when we get to the tractor there. If you guys will notice these 2 orifices right here, they actually do have a couple of tubes that seat inside of them. Each one of them has a rubber gasket around the other. And when they seat in there, they should make a pretty good seal, right, to maintain that pressure in the hydraulics. So essentially what happens is when you engage the PTO, it actually provides hydraulic pressure to it, allowing that clutch pack to engage, and you'll actually engage the PTO. When you disengage that clutch, it should stop all flow of any kind of hydraulic fluid through this assembly. If it doesn't do that and you have any kind of leaks in it, it's still going to provide any kind of hydraulic pressure to it. That clutch pack's not going to fully disengage, and that PTO will continue to spin. Okay, so you really want to make sure that there's a good seal on these things right here. So what I noticed when I took this thing apart, first glance, was right here around the actual assembly, this gasket in here is obviously going bad because there was actually quite a bit of hydraulic fluid just seeping out from around the base of this. So that was my first clue that obviously this thing needed to be checked to see if there's any kind of pressure loss. On second inspection, when I actually looked in there, the tubes that go in here, those gaskets that go around the inside of them, or around the outside actually, and seat in here, were actually all torn up. There was actually a big chunk in one of these orifices, and it was actually just stuck in there and floating around, just a big rubbery chunk that tore off. I'm not sure how that happens. I mean, who knows? But maybe when they were installing it or something like that, they just put it in dry or whatever. But anyway, that gasket just tore apart, and it was actually in there. So that could have been blocking this orifice from actually providing or stopping any kind of that pressure flow. So really all you're going to do is just remove this piece here, and I'll go over to the tractor right now and show you exactly where this part is at. And you want to just make sure this is completely clean. You want to make sure that those orifices are completely free of any debris. Get yourself an air gun, throw yourself some degreaser or some brake parts cleaner, something in there, and blow all that stuff out and make sure it's completely clean and there's nothing in there. And then check your bolt too, right? You gotta make sure that everything's free of debris on this one too, because it does have to have oil be able to pass through here on both sides. So make sure that's completely clean. Clean up your washer gasket here that's seated, so you make sure you have a good tight seal. And then we'll head over to the tractor and I'll kind of show you what I was looking at. All right, we're back. All right, so you guys can see those 2 tubes right there. This is pretty much just where that valve assembly seats on it. And those 2 tubes will line up with those openings on the assembly itself. Now you guys will notice all that rubbery gaskets that are around it, how chewed up they are and torn. Those are obviously not going to maintain any kind of seal, right? So it's going to allow oil to pass in and around it and continue to supply that pressure to that clutch pack. So that could be one culprit. or one cause for that PTO to continue spinning even though it's been disengaged at low RPMs. So this would be the first thing I would check. And I mean, you can see where it's all gummed up. You can see all the stuff that I've already scraped off and cleaned up, but it was pretty bad. So just check this first before you guys actually start thinking that you're gonna have to actually separate the tractor and pull the cab off and do all that kind of crazy mess. This would be the first place I go. Make sure this thing is you know, operating the way it's supposed to. Those seals are all good. If that's the case, well then maybe you do have a bigger problem somewhere else. But hopefully this is going to be the issue here, and you know, with a couple of gaskets there and some seals, maybe this thing will get fixed in pretty cheap and short order, and we'll go from there. I'll definitely continue with this. I'll finish up the repair, and I'll get back to you guys with a follow-up video to let you know if that was the issue or if it transpired into something a little more serious. All right, thanks guys.